Welcome back to another episode of Hair Mafia. We are so excited today because we have our first guest. Boss Lady, do you want to introduce her?
Sure. This is Kaitlin.
Hello.
She works with us at Lotus in June. She is my assistant for now until she's going full-time in December all on her own. And she is here with us today. So she's our very first guest.
Yay.
And we're like more than happy to have her.
So excited.
Are you nervous?
A little bit.
Why?
Yeah. Well,
You got to get close to the mic.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you
people
go.
want to hear you.
So today this is our education episode, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. So what did everybody do this weekend? I know what AJ and I did. It was Labor Day weekend. So, Kaitlin, what'd you do?
I put together furniture. I didn't do anything fun.
For
It worked.
what?
My bedroom.
Did you break the bed? No, I'm kidding.
No.
Oh my
Keep
goodness.
it G. Well, before we get into what we did this weekend, I was fighting all day with people that I was once close with, and I would keep it vague, but that was a little spice for me. Let's just say this, no shade to anyone, but if you're ever thinking about living your life in reverse, don't do it. You've been there, you've done that. There's more things to see in life.
Okay.
That's good.
10-second therapy.
Yes. Well, yeah. I mean, no, that's good. It's also good for education. What did we do this weekend?
We went to see Linson and Jay in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, it was so fun. If any hairstylists are listening, I'm sure that they would know who Linson or Jay Edwards are. Linson is originally from Denver, and then he moved to LA to work at 901 Academy and the 901 Salon in Beverly Hills. He moved back to Denver, and now he is in Scottsdale. His work is beautiful. And Jay Edwards is from Australia. Owns 8 salons, like
About
his
to
own
open
hair,
2 more.
Yeah, his own hair care line. They're amazing. There were both of them. They did 4 models at Charlie & Co. Salon in Dallas.
Beautiful salon.
Mhm.
Somebody was like, you work in Dallas? And I was like, no, but this is a beautiful place.
Yeah. It's a super cool salon.
I stole hair ties. I know they were free, but I'm going to say I stole them because I don't even got hair to tie up. But I was like,
Yeah,
it says their
they're
name and they're
cute.
cool.
Yeah. Super
I'm about
cute.
to get some like hair by Basque, like tie up your weave.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So yeah, that was a good time. Learned a lot. And basically I love seeing educators like them and people who've been in our industry so long still go through the same like trials and tribulations that we do. Like they were talking about psycho clients and what it's
and
like
how they handle them too.
Yeah, they're very professional, but they're very also like, well, we're not going to put up with this.
And
like,
they were
you know what
they
I mean?
both had like a different vibe. But what I appreciate is that they were still authentically themselves. They're like, no, I
Yes.
didn't say it like that, but that's what I thought. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
because you feel like, oh, I can't even think bad about somebody. But they're like, no, they're a bully, they're a punk, they're an a-hole, like whatever. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and the fact that they still get it, even though they're huge and, I would say famous hairstylists, somewhat, celebrity hairstylists, super talented. And I just like the fact that they could like relate, or like I could relate to like things that they're going through.
What were some of the things that you related to?
Psycho clients or people just leaving bad reviews for like basically like no reason, or like assistant shaming. No one's really shamed Kaitlin terribly, but then they'll say things like, your assistant's is she good? Or do I have to go to an assistant? Things like that. It's
How
like,
long have they been doing hair?
right.
That's
it's like
the
there's
top question.
yes. Yeah.
What is your, because we're going to like jump around, but
Yeah.
what's your experience been like being an assistant? Because I went straight into doing hair, so I don't know what it's like to assist. And part of me like really wishes that I did. I think I'm just going about learning things a different way. But I'm like, sometimes it feels like you have like this safety net kind of and like go to. And it's like, okay, I feel like I'm bothering people. Like,
Honestly, I feel like I did it a great way, especially going through school during COVID. And then I have Tracy to always lean on, but I'm also doing hair at the same time. So if I ever have like a client that I'm like, oh, what the heck did I do? I'm always like, hey Tracy, like this is what I did. What do you think that I did wrong? How would you do it? What would you do next time?
Mm-hmm.
Questions like that. And I feel like she's always a great person to rebound off of.
Okay, but I'm like, she's like, mm-hmm. But I just think your experience with like going to school in COVID is so crazy because it's like, it's not that far removed from like a hair school experience unless you're just like going to a school where they're like, you go to class and do it. Like mine was all hands on. So if you wanted to do something, you did it. And if you didn't do anything, well, they were just like, good luck. And so you were just like, yeah, we didn't do anything, like, because you couldn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't because you were like lazy. It was just like, you weren't even allowed to like touch a head. It was like we practiced on a mannequin or each other, and you were like, I'm not having them fry my hair off.
Well, with me going to school, like when I was in high school, the thing is that I went for 2 years anyway. So the first year, all I did was book work, and the second year was supposed to be hands-on, but that's when COVID hit. So I never got that hands-on experience in school.
Yeah, when COVID hit while I was in school, my last client was someone that was a former drug user and had like gotten in a tussle, and she had like dreadlock mats in her hair.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Because her dealer, who was her boyfriend, got mad because she wouldn't let him use her car.
Oh, shit.
Speaking of hair, though, Kaitlin, you just got your hair colored for the first time ever.
I
in
did,
your
about the
life.
queen herself.
Yes.
The balayage baddie, Tracy.
No one does balayage anymore.
They say
Not
they do.
true open air. Right. Back to the class, like the education. Okay, so Linton had touched on that education is so like saturated, and people, like everybody's an educator. Like, come to my class, come to my class. But he also touched on, which was fine. I mean, he was just like, that it is what it is. It's fine. Everybody takes away from everybody. But even he talked about, since he's been super popular, and obviously he didn't say names, which is totally cool of him. He said that Behind the Chair had asked him to do a video or like a tutorial. And so he just did his like favorite placement. And then someone had reached out to him very catty and was like, you stole that from me. And he's like, and then I get blasted on social media. And it's just like, not that I want to hear things like that, because I mean, it sucks. But it is good to hear, okay, well, this even happens to like huge people. Yeah. And they still have the same frustrations that we do.
And like concerns, I don't want to say fears, but even like concerns, because he was like, why? He was like, I'm pretty selective about what classes that I go to, because you don't know how somebody's going to respond if you do a technique similar to them. And it just reminds me of what my mom always said, there's nothing new under the sun. Like,
yeah,
it's just who presented it first or whatever. But I'm like, that goes back to the whole thing. It's like, is it community or competition? Because both are really good. It's just like, what's the attitude behind it? Because I'm like, well, if you're going to teach a class, you didn't think somebody was just going to use it? Like,
well, true. And I don't think, I mean, he was like, I look at people who've taken classes from me and he said they're literally doing about the exact same thing that I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not mad about it. He's just like, it's the exact same thing that I taught them. And then they're bringing it to a class, which I don't really care if anyone has ever copied off of me. Like, any issues that I have are people who literally go to a class and then immediately start teaching. So that's really like if someone goes to, say, the class that we went to, and then in a year they've like perfected some things and all this and all that, and then they're like, okay, well, maybe I'm ready to teach a class. And a lot of people will just reach out and say, hey, are you ever interested in teaching a class, if they like your page or the salon you're at or whatever. And I think that that's perfectly fine, but it's just like, that would be like us like going to that class and then me saying, I'm going to show you what they did, and I'm gonna charge you for it also. Like, I'm all about being like, hey, I learned this at the class. This is a really cool technique, like with you guys.
Right.
But I'm not gonna just like charge a bunch of people. Like, I'm doing a class October 2nd, and it's not even really anything that they did. It's just we had already planned on doing it. So I don't know. That's just my take on that. As far as people taking from others, they're always going to. It's just like extension methods. Like,
there's a bajillion.
Yeah. And then all of the extension methods are like, mine's the best, ours is the best, this. And it's like, it's basically all the same. But you really have to know what you're doing and be really experienced to be able to teach.
Right. One is, I think, kind of like with extensions and things like that, or just any technique, you can go to a bunch of classes or whatever, but I'm like, once you start to kind of master it, you can kind of water down like these are the same themes in all of it. And it's like, then people just kind of put their little flair on it. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's like, quit trying to say it's like so different. I think it's more of like a kind of like a regional thing too. It's just kind of like, okay, we're all learning and then we all kind of spread out. So I'm like, what's the problem in showing somebody this? Because it's like, you don't even live in my state. So we travel for it, but it's like some people will never pay for a class. Like some people will never come to it because I'm like, it's expensive. But again, too, it's like people don't realize like it's front end expensive, but it's like when you incorporate that, it does increase your value as a stylist. So it's like, okay, what are we fighting for? If it turns into that.
Yeah, if it turns into that.
But some of the things that I took away from the class is, you know, there's always going to be that thing of like adding, like I just said, like to your repertoire and whatever. And then you can kind of increase your price. But one thing that they kind of emphasize is like, and we talked about this, but it keeps coming up, is like the power of consultation. But it's more of like explain to your client what we do, why we do it. Because they were like, I don't want to see a client more than 4 years because I do lived in looks. Like they are meant to last. And that's why I have to explain to them, like, I charge $150 for this because if I was seeing you every 6-8 weeks, it's the same amount of money, you know, in a sense.
If I'm charging you $200 every 6 weeks.
But what I loved about it too is just like, they were like, hair takes the time that it takes. He was like, yep, I booked them out for 4 or 5 hours because that's just what it takes. And I think it was Jay was saying like, you know, my contract with someone is just like, I think it was more like influencers, but he was just kind of like, I don't need you to be upset. I'm going to tell you, you need to prepare to be with me 5 hours and you're going to feel like you're sitting around a lot. They use lower developers. They use this and they explain why they do what they do. And maybe that was just for the class, but they were just like, if you want the hair that is in this picture, that's what it takes. And he was like, he had a lot of funny but crazy stories about people and how he confronted it. But he was like, overall, people understand, you know, because we have a way that we run our salon. And that was like super kind of inspiring and encouraging too, because it's like, for me doing hair, it's like, okay, I want to do these great things and deliver, but then it's like you have somebody that is kind of antsy, or it's like, then you have another person booking and it's like, you want to book out, but then it's like, I can't charge them this much money because I don't think that it's like, it kind of does come back to the stylist. It's like, am I explaining what I'm doing and, you know, charging my worth? And then it's like, you have this rush job and then somebody's like, yeah, I really kind of don't like it. And they're just like, oh, I knew exactly what to do and I didn't take the time to do it. So that's what I took away from it. Was like, I just need to block out the time and explain my services and why that is and why I'm going to charge accordingly. Because I'm not like, I'm going to charge you $600 now. But it's like, if you want the tip out and the root shadow and the treatment and this and that, those are add-on services. It just doesn't come like packaged.
It's not 2 hours. It's about 4 hours.
That's why it takes so long.
I've had like a handful of clients that are just like, you know, I just haven't been happy with my hair the past couple of times, so I'm going to go elsewhere, which was totally fine. And I wasn't going to argue with them. I was like, I understand. But the reality is you only want all of these things done in a 2-hour window, because their thing was always, I don't have time. I have kids. I've got to do hair. We've got lunch and car lines and pickup lines and all this and sports. But I'm like,
or they're like, I didn't block off for this. And I'm like,
yeah, but I'm like, but you're wanting all of these. So then I just wouldn't do as much. And I'm like, well, yeah, your hair's not as blonde underneath because we've been doing partials for like 4 months because that's all you book for. And even whenever I say, hey, I'll just move up my next client. Let's do this in 3 hours and let's at least put something in the back. They still don't want to do it.
Or they don't want to pay for it, which is another thing
exactly.
too.
And that's totally another thing.
They want all these Pinterest, you know.
Because let's talk about your client stories and experience, because you got some good skills under your belt.
Kaitlin really does.
When I think this thing too is like, you know, respectfully, there's ain't nothing disrespectful about what I'm about to say, but your demeanor is what I think people feel like they can like argue through, because you're like quiet and soft spoken and you like hear people out. And it's like when Kaitlin's that person, like when she speaks, she means what she says. She doesn't go back and forth with you. And so like me, I'm just kind of like, we can have it out. And so sometimes, not that she needs my help at all, it's like she will have a difficult client. I'm like, nope, you need to do this. And they're like, oh my God, okay. She's like, that's what I was talking to you
But that's
45
what I
minutes
just
about.
said. Yeah.
But I mean, like, it really happens to you a lot.
Yeah. Well, I feel like part of that comes with like my age, just because I am younger, but people just are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like 10 years older than you.
Well, and then they like almost fish for it so they can like pick at you. They're like, aren't you like 12?
You're
and
like, I'm 36.
No. You're like, I can drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let's talk about, I feel like you've had 2 clients like this, but it's like, they're like, get me in, and then they no call, no show you, and then they come in like it's nothing.
Oh my
and
gosh.
it's like
You
so,
do have the worst.
you
It's
have
like-
the worst luck with some of these clients.
I think
You know what I'm
that's-
talking about.
Yeah, where my niceness comes in, and I just, have to eat it at the end of the day.
You're like,
Unfortunately,
okay.
but we're putting that on the back burner.
I guess, but like, so I'm gonna just tell
We're
this
putting them on the
story.
back burner.
Yes.
So somebody came in and again, like we were almost kind of like about to move locations, but
Yes.
she comes in, she tries to like bleach or color her extensions, and she's like, I
Oh my
need it
goodness.
right now. What packs of hair do you have? Duh. You do this consultation with her, and from what I remember, I could be lying, making it up. It's been so long. And it was like a long consultation.
Oh, it
She's
was. It was
picked
about
out-
45 minutes when
She
it could have been
picks out the
15.
color. She's like, I'm coming Monday, whatever. Doesn't show up.
Yeah. Well, and she also, I actually seen her the other day, and I was like, well, don't you have one pack like split into 2 rows and like 2 hand-tied wefts? And she was like, oh no, I have 2 full packs. And I'm like, that's a lie. You're straight up lying to me right now. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm the one put your hair in your head, and I know what you
and
paid
I'm,
for.
yeah.
That's our favorite when they try and tell us what we know we've done. And you just like, sometimes you just have to sit there and be like, okay.
I'm like, these 2 hand-tied wefts came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
So me meeting this lady with Kaitlin, and she's sweet and she's nice, and she's like, I think I only want like 18 inches and I can only afford 1 row. And so I was like, listening to this go on, and I'm like, I'm tired of this consultation for you. Like, it's
Yeah. Which
Kaitlin
is
said
fine.
this is what you
Much.
need to do. She's like, I want length and a fullness. And I said, you ain't gonna get that with 1 row. And she like kind of looks at me, and Kaitlin had already explained this, and I'm like, get the 2 rows. And she's like, but do you have 2 row money? I said, if you want what you want, go ahead and get it. She like buys it that
Oh,
day.
yeah.
Looking at Kaitlin dirty the whole time. And I was like, and I'm over here like, girl, that looks good. I was like, I don't care.
Hyping me up.
You do good work. I'm like, she's not going to sit there and give you a dirty look. Then at the end of the appointment, tell him what happened. Cause
Girl, I ran her card like 3 different times, used like
Oh
2
my
different
goodness.
cards, and they literally declined. And I'm like,
after she ditched on 2 appointments, I'm like, girl,
Yeah.
you had extra weeks to get your money.
I didn't even charge her no-show fees, didn't charge her anything like that, no late fees all the time she's been late. And then her card didn't go through, and she was like, well, what do I do? And I'm just like, I froze.
And I said,
AJ, and I'm
girl,
like,
do you
AJ.
have a deposit? Like, you need to start getting the, because
Yeah.
I don't know why you get all these clients that just don't show up. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
we have to pay for the hair in theory. You know, it's like we're
Yeah.
lucky that, we work with Tracy and she has an extension line. But I'm like, in the real world, it's like we have to buy that hair
ahead of time.
ahead of time. And I'm like, there are like 3 occasions where you could have been out of like so much money
Very much so.
because they just don't show up. So I'm like doing my client, and I'm like catching wind of this. I'm like, is she over here saying her car don't work? Mm-hmm. So then she's like, oh my God. And I think she like, it looked like she was like posturing to leave. And she's like, oh, I'll get good. And I'm like, oh, you gonna stay here. I'm locking the door. Like in my mind, like you better call somebody to go to the ATM. So she's doing it. And like Caitlin's just standing there like frozen. And I'm like looking at her. She didn't even get, so I said, I know one thing, you won't walk up out of here with this hair in your head if you don't find the money. Mysteriously, it works.
And you
She's
said-
like,
you
try
said-
blah, blah, blah.
You said, I'll cut your hair out your head.
I
What
did.
you
I said, I will cut all of that hair out of your head. And
That'll be it.
Because she's not going to do hair for free.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get $1,000 worth of extension. Then my favorite thing is she comes back and she's like, I should have got the 22s. I said,
When she
oh,
got the 18s.
thought you was so broke.
Yeah. That is one thing that he was talking about at the class too. He was like, the thing is they have the money. Like he was like, they have it. I'm not saying everybody has it, but if you're going to get extensions or like a high-end color or like a really lived-in color that's going to be a 4-hour appointment with all these different products and glosses and time and have like 3 assistants working with you and all of these things, it's like, he's like, they have it. and they
and
still
they have
get
the
people
understanding
arguing.
that they're getting a luxury service. Like, it's not majority of the time, especially with us, like, and it's like reoccurring clients sometimes too, but it's like, they're just like, why is it that much? And we're just like,
It's not
but
that
you just
much.
talked about your new car. You just talked about your nails. You just talked about your lash fill. You just talked about your new
Botox, filler.
Louis did, and who did and didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
So why is it when it comes to your hair and you want all these things, you're just like,
Well, it's like they've had extensions before, some of them, and they're like, it wasn't that much last time. In reality, it was.
it was like they don't remember. It's
Yeah.
like, but also everything's going up. Like, there was issue with suppliers and this and then. I'm like,
Yeah.
we still got to figure it out.
Rant over. No.
It's just starting. But I was also looking at another hair influencer's TikTok, and they were talking about like emotional discounting, because it's like we do. And so that was another thing that kind of ties into the classes, like telling them what the price is up front, like being like, we're going to do all this. Does it fit, what
Your budget.
Can we create a look that fits your budget for this time? And I thought that was really smart too, because sometimes we do assume that a recurring client or just somebody, like even the girl I did today, she was so sweet. She's like, I've never had my hair colored before. And she was like, she almost was like doing add-ons for me. She was like, okay, so when you're done with my color, how much does it cost to blow my hair out? And I'm like, no, that comes with the service. And like, she was like, okay, well, what if I want this? And what if, and I was like, no, I quoted you, because I did a full consultation with her, and I'm like, everything's included. But, she told me up front, and she came with the right amount of money. I said, I'm not going to just add on stuff, whatever, because I did a treatment. But I was like, that's my treat to you. Like, you've never had your hair colored and you're happy and blah, 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 blah. Like, I want you to have a good experience. But I think that's kind of thing too. It's like, I do like feel bad after I do all this stuff, because I'm like, maybe I should have said like, yeah, are you still okay with what we do? Because it costs this much. But it's also like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say you're broke, but it's like, I just want to make sure you're going to pay for the service.
Yeah.
So that's hard for me, at least, especially with extensions. They're like, can you put my weave in and do the color? And I'm like, you just add on like $150.
Yeah. I feel like emotional discounting only comes for me, not even with new clients. It's really clients that I've done for a long time, and they don't want to hear that my prices are going up.
Right.
Or that the hair prices have just gone up, or whatever. They just don't. And I think it's like, I've been with them for so long. That's who I feel bad about raising prices on. It's never really new clients. It's the people, because then
You don't want them to leave you. You've had that relationship.
no, it's
for
fine
so
if
long.
they leave, honestly. No, but it's just, they'll start, and most of the time they're like, whatever, I love you, great. I do have the few clients like, Debbie, where are you at? But we love her. Well, I mean, because I still charge her what I charged probably 8 years ago, but she's just one of those OG clients that brings my kids gifts every time. Is like, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? Here's Christmas gifts. Here, I mean, just, she's basically kind of a part of the family, even though she's a little psycho.
Do you
I
have
mean,
your
she
COVID
knows
vaccine?
it.
Do you have your COVID
Yeah,
vaccine?
she's mad because I didn't get vaccinated. Oops. But anyway, so she, clients like that, fine. But it's the clients who are like, I've kept you in, I've given you a lot of money over this past few years. And I'm like, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, like,
It's almost like they're
things
does
go
my
up.
loyalty mean nothing to you? It's like,
Right,
It's not
right.
even about that. It's just like, I'm learning, I'm growing. Like, it might look like I'm doing the same service on you, but I've learned how to do it better.
I've learned how to do it better, and my prices should go up anyways. But also, the color is so different than it was even 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago. I mean, I wasn't toning every single person even 8-9 years ago.
Right.
At all. Or, and it's like, okay, you don't have to do 3 glosses, but that's just what it is now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like, and, purple shampoo and just all these things. And all of these, I mean, on everybody, I use blow dry spray, detangler, heat, basically blow dry heat spray, mousse, root boost, some sort of serum or something at the end. Like, all of our tools
2
are
different
expensive.
curling irons.
Yeah, I may have to flat iron a couple, but it's like all of that stuff is still a lot of money. And it's like, but that's where I do feel bad. Like, my
that's the thing
prices
too,
have
it's
gone
like,
up, but
there are so many products. We love shades. Like, shades is just kind of like
Shades
a
is
product.
just, yeah, it's
But
just,
they come out with a product. Like they have to come out with a new, like 3 new products, like every like 2 months or something like that. So it's like, it's not even what we're using. It's like having to have product knowledge. Cause I'm like, I don't even venture out because I'm like, you have to learn a whole, it's not like, oh, there's 3 of these and we're going to use it. It's like, we have to almost know on the fly what to do for your hair because everybody's hair reacts different sometimes. It's like, that's what goes on behind like all that. And it's like, that's not even something we can explain in a consultation.
right.
And you still have your oh shit moments because you're just like, why
Oh,
did
yeah,
this turn
definitely.
green?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
And then the clients are lying. They're like, oh my God, I use the best of the best. And I'm like, you use mane and tail.
Yeah. Mane and tail.
But kind of back to the emotional discounting, or even just kind of like you were saying, like I have not raised prices on certain people. Like there are some clients that you hold near and dear to your heart, and you're kind of almost like territorial over. It's like you will not go anywhere. It's like, is your budget $100? I'll give you the world for $100.
Right.
Like I have a really good friend, grandma that comes to me. I will not charge
Totally.
her,
Yeah,
but she
she's
always
great.
offers, and I'm just like. She's cute. She takes me 30 minutes. She just wants her little stack bob and she don't want to look old. And she begs me
Yeah.
for bangs all the time. But I'm like, I would never take money from her. Now, granted, I'm like, okay, I'll squeeze you in.
Yeah, you may have to wait,
But I'm just like, I just would never. I wouldn't want to see her in the hands of anybody else. And I'm like, and she's so sweet. I'm like, sometimes this world is cutthroat. And I'm like, let me find out somebody down the street. I'm like, I'm ramming my car through your front door.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's like mine. It's not that I mean, they're not even wanting all of these crazy things that people want now. These women are like grandmas and like just all older, or you know what I mean? They're just
Or just
like,
someone
dude,
significant in your life.
right. But they're not like coming in with all these random pictures. They're just like, do what we normally do. I mean, give me a base break or just put a few foils in. I'm just happy. They're like, I'm just happy to be here. You know?
And those are like the fun ones too. Like even if
yeah.
you're having like a stressful day and you kind of see them come in there, you're just kind of like, I could have 10 clients and I'm just like, I'm so glad you still came to see me. Like
Yeah.
this means the world.
Yeah.
I mean, some days I'm just like, I wish you would have came like on a Thursday, but
yeah. But it's fine.
Do you have any clients like that? Yeah. Tell me about them.
Some of them, it all happens on the same day too. Like that's the thing is they all the bad ones come on the same day. And you feel like you have to like, certain ones you have to like impress and like dress a certain way or
Yeah.
fit a certain standard. And then of course all the easy ones are all like far and few between sometimes is what it feels like. You're like, can you
Yeah.
all come today? I'm having a bad day.
Well, yeah, and it's like sometimes it's really weird because I've kind of referenced this several times. I was just having like a really bad like week and a half, and then it always comes like right on time. Somebody's like, "You're amazing, dude," and I'm like, "I didn't even think you noticed me. Like, you
Yeah.
never text
Yeah.
me, you never call me, you never DM me," and they're just like, or like somebody's like, "You look down today. Like, don't let whatever's happening, dude. And my hair looks amazing." I'm like, okay, 2 seconds of positivity, and I'm like, I'm about to beat all y'all bitches up. I'm back, full force. What was some other things in the class? Because I mean, there was like literally so much.
There was a lot.
content.
It was
Like,
good. I don't
I
want to
mean-
give away all of their secrets that we learned, but
Yeah, because you almost had to just watch it though too.
yeah, you just had to be there. They're just really authentic and genuine, and they're not like too into themselves.
Oh, they wanted us to be like, I mean, not all up in their grill, but they were just like, please talk, please
Please
do
ask questions,
whatever.
anything that
I
you
mean, just
wanna
so
learn.
approachable. And it's just like, I would have never thought you had 97,000, okay. Like I actually really didn't, and maybe we should talk about that. I don't really know how to look for like classes, and Tracy's like, you should go to this one. So I actually did not know of Jay like that, and I wasn't even following him. So this is a really funny story because it's just like the accessibility. But like I was trying to buy a ticket. Basically, I almost spent like $5,000 because I was like trying to, like it was charging wrong, and then it was like declining, and I didn't realize he sent me a DM, and he was like, hey, I see you're trying to book. It's not going through. Like, let me know what to do to help. And I'm like, wait, is this the guy I'm going to the class for? And like, I had found out about Linson like a couple months ago, and I'm just like, what? Like, I'm going like, how I go to a class, and I'm like, am I starstruck? I know that's like really cheesy, but I'm just like, do I like the hair? And like, is this like, would this be cool to meet them? Like, if nothing else, I get to say I got a picture with them. Like,
Yeah.
almost like the same thing. Like, I did Jay-Z Styles. Like, I would watch all her videos, and she did all this like kind of basically like free education. And
Yeah.
I was like, I remember when she was just like, in this White House and blah, 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 blah. And like, I was like, I felt like I found her before then. So it was like, come to a shadow day. And I'm like, oh my God, yes.
I'll be there.
I get to see everything that was on a video. And I'm like, I don't care if I learn anything. And, just like cool because they'll repost your stuff and then they follow you. And, I don't know if that's like a formality, but it's just like, it's so cool to think like this person is from Australia or from Denver or from whatever. And then we all come together because we have a passion for the same thing. And they're just like, hey, I'm just like me. Because they told their like personal stories. And, you just need to go to their class and ask them because I'm like, that's part of the experience and part of the package. But, another thing is they do great hair and, on the surface they look similar, but they also took very different kind of techniques on some of their models to get the same results. So that's what awesome to watch. Because I was like, I would have never done it that way. But like now I can take that in consideration. And, the shortcuts that they take is actually a skill. It's not to like cheapen the service or whatever. They're just like, I've done hair so long. This is what it looks like. But some people might perceive that it's like, you're just like, whatever. Yeah. It's like, it was so awesome to see, each educator that I've been able to see, and it's been 3 so far, like their steps to what they've branded out there. And then just like how they get to it. And it's just kind of like, okay, I'm a little bit of all these people now. And it's like, really, it's just like years in the game. And I think that was another big thing is they all had a specific goal. Sometimes I feel like we're in the market, and then I'll shut up after this, but we're on this market and it's like kind of like popularity, but they were just kind of like, none of their goals were ever to be big. They said, I wanted to be the best in extension. He said, I wanted to be the best and like lived in here. He was like, I never want to get bored and I want to be authentic and work with a brand that I believe in. And that's kind of what shot them to like fame, and they were like, well, we were kind of on the cusp of, Instagram being big, and now it's TikTok. And they were like they were just like, we don't even really know how to work social media like that. Because you think like, oh my God, they take these cool pictures and they just like showed us. They're like, okay, I do use a camera, but then I also use my phone. And they were like, these are the 3 things that I do. And I'm like, I'm over here like killing myself about to buy a $5,000 camera. Yeah. And they're just like, you don't need to do that. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Holy Grail has spoken. I'm drinking from your cup. Also, I got to tell Jay that his zipper was undone.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was a good one.
It was all out there in the whole class. I'm kidding. You couldn't see anything. But I was like, you want me to do it for you?
Oh my goodness. No, it was a great class. And then we're doing a class October 2nd.
Yeah, what is the class?
It's just a color class.
Mm-hmm. What kind of color?
Dimensional.
Mm-hmm. Is it a blonde that wants to go blonder?
No.
Okay.
It's fall time.
Yeah. From summer to fall, basically.
But, and this thing too, I was like, what I really hope makes a comeback, because I was like, how can I get my Instagram to be set apart? Because it's like a big thing, they're just like, what sets you apart? And even just like how you get searched. And I said, everybody's like, I'm a blonde specialist. I'm like, I'm a brunette specialist. I know that's a lie out of my fucking teeth, but I'm like, what if that becomes my market? Because you don't see that thrown around a lot. And I'm like, I really hope brunettes, kind of dimensional brunettes, is probably what I should put.
I feel like brunettes have came back a lot in this year, 2022. Maybe not like just all brunette, but people definitely going darker and more lived in.
Well, I think warmer tones are like making a comeback too. And I, back when I was in hair school in 2019, 2020, whatever, it was like you have anything but a cool tone. Like it was just so
annoying.
It was literally like,
platinum cards,
you can drink
ash.
Satan's piss if you think I'm going to have a warm tone.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, dang.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Thought I was putting pizza in my mouth, but all right. Whatever. But no, I think that I would love to see that kind of make a comeback. And that was another thing, how they were like, we get a bunch of hate because we do warm tones, but they live longer. They're lower maintenance. Like, that's what we want.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's nice, because I'm like, that's something that I believe in, but they verbalized it a lot better. Yeah. So that was great.
And they just have the power of saying no. Like, maybe I don't really specialize in like vivid or whatever it is, whoever it is, where you're like, this is really just what I specialize in.
Because there's only like 2
But here's
people.
someone who can do what you're wanting.
Yeah. There's only like 2 people I would do a vivid on, because I'm like, it's not that I can't do it, but it's like, I know that that's not how my creative mind works. I don't want to say I'm not passionate about it, but I'm like, the 2 people that I do it for, I love them to death, so I want to do a good job for them. But I'm like, Don't bring a picture of them and say do what you did. I don't want to.
Yeah.
That is for them.
Well, Vivids are very high maintenance.
They are.
I mean, for them at home and the whole thing.
You never take an ice bath.
Yeah, I think I've done 2 Vivids the whole time I've done it, and the whole time I've done hair, and I was like, that's about it for me.
Kaitlin, KK,
Hey.
K Money. What's kind of your favorite hair right now to do, and then what's your least favorite? Say Vivid. I'm kidding.
No, I really like dimensional colors right now. Coppers. I feel like I've been getting a lot of those.
I see
those
your
are
coppers
nice.
though, and I'm like, is that like your niche?
I love them. But
It shows
I'm thinking
though.
about taking Danielle does hair. She's really good. She's a red specialist and
Ooh.
like vivid specialist. She had a class in Connecticut and I wanted to go, but I didn't want to go by myself.
Why
Hey,
don't you
we'll
ask
go with
me,
you.
girl?
I know.
It's always good to go to a class, even if it's maybe something that I won't do. It's just good to know that. Well,
Yes.
Right, you can pull something out of your back pocket.
yeah, and it's always fun to go to good classes. Like even if I'm like, I've been to a class before where I was like, I've kind of done all these techniques before or whatever, but I'm like, just going to a class and just getting like re-inspired and like shifting your focus back to okay, and other stylists being there and everybody just going towards like a common goal of just being better in general in our industry. I just love going to classes, but I'll tell you the classes that I have had a bad experience. I'm not going to tell you which ones, but I feel like all classes are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if you want to go to it, then go. But like if you were like, hey, let's go to a class, I would be like, okay, I'll go to it.
Yeah.
If I was like semi-interested. I mean, I wouldn't go to like a men's haircutting class. Sorry, dudes, but I don't cut men's hair.
Feel like I
But
cut it good enough.
but
One linked all over.
You want a buzz?
have you guys ever been to like a class that you didn't really or kind of disappointed about? I'll tell you, one of the things that's off-putting to me, and I was telling AJ this, is, at the class that we went to this weekend, there were a lot of questions about how's your pricing? What do you charge for color? And how many clients do you take a day or a week? And I mean, you can do the math and add it up. They're just going about, well, I charge X amount of dollars. I take X amount of time. I do this many clients with an assistant. If I don't have an assistant, I do, so they're just breaking it down and breaking down why they charge that much.
Yeah.
But what I've found like off-putting before is like, look at me, like, guys, I made like 6 figures last year and here's how. And if you don't do this thing, then you know what I mean? And it's like,
You're going to fail if you don't do that.
right. But I mean, success to some isn't always just like 6 figures. It could just be like, hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm happy making 1,000 a week, or I'm happy making 1,000 a day, or just like whatever your goal of success or your idea of success is to you. I think that's off-putting whenever it's just like me. This is what I do. It's almost like a girl at our old salon went to a class and she was coming back talking about how many clients the person took a day, what she made a year, where she got her salon furniture, who designed her salon. And I'm like,
You can rent plants and
yeah, all this stuff, which is, I mean, I probably need to rent some, but
I need to stop killing them.
but I was like, but what did you learn anything? Like, did you learn about like anything formulating? Did you learn any techniques? I almost feel like a lot of this is like a, so to speak, popularity contest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
oh, blah, blah, blah. Here's me. And it's like, okay, well that's good. But like, let's learn some stuff about hair
Well, to kind
also.
of piggyback off of what you're saying, it was almost like you hear these success stories and, sometimes we've been fortunate enough to get information like brought to us or we dig a little bit and they're like, oh my God, I'm like so self-made or whatever. But it's like, but you're leaving out the part where you have like, and this isn't to be like rude or anything, but it's like you have this husband that allowed you to be able to do that. Or like you had some sort of behind the scenes support and you're like, oh, I did. I just like found the salon one day. And it's like, no, you had good enough credit to get the loan. Or, somebody that has a background and all this stuff, or you have some sort of connection. So it's always like this little weird missing piece
Right.
that you have people all over that just see like your outward
Like,
persona.
oh, well, I just worked hard and just did this and I'm self-made all on my own. It's like,
And I say that honestly, it's like not just like local people that we hear like in around. It's like we found this out about like big name people, and so there was like a level of transparency to the like Linson and Jay, because he was just like, I'm in a bunch of debt. He said it's not all mine. He was like, I would never
business.
he was like, it's a business debt, and he was very transparent about that. And I was like, see, that's the business class that I want to do, because it's like when you go to pursue those things, it gets really scary because you're like, am I supposed to do this part or whatever? And it's like that little piece of information can make or break, because every class that I've been to with you, people are like, how do you know when to open your own salon? It's like, they're just like, you just got to go for it. And it's like, okay, how do you go for it?
Yeah, but how do you go for it?
That's what we want to know.
Like taking risks is part of it, but like literally. I mean, he didn't jump into his whole story, but he did say like, I've taken out, loans for all my salons, and there was
one. He talked about his failures.
Yeah. And he was like, I've opened salons, I've closed them. His first salon that he was going to do, he got screwed at like the very end, right before he was supposed to buy it, lost all of his money, like things that you don't like to hear, especially to somebody like him. But it's like, that's like the real world of it.
Right. You don't just always cruise when you sit. And it's like, I think that is a huge part. I think that maybe people think that will decrease the value of I don't know what it is, but it's like, I'm more interested to hear about your failures, because then I don't have to like run into that and figure it out. It's like, that's a business class.
Or if it does happen to me,
what do I do?
Well, no, but right. Or if it does happen to me, like, I mean, I may have thought this could be a risk. Like, there could be a chance that this was going to happen. And not that I wanted it to happen, but maybe in the back of my mind, I knew that it was definitely possible. So I'm not so like blindsided. It's
anticipated, and it won't take you out and make you want to quit. So I was just like, I appreciate that, because it's like, it's almost like one of the classes that we went to, people were asking this question. It wasn't like, I almost felt like it would be more beneficial to be upfront, like, oh, I don't really want to talk about that. But it was just like, you just kind of got to go for it. Or it's like, I just did. And it was like,
you just need to contact an accountant in your area. It's like,
well, my favorite phrase was,
I'm like,
it was a business, and they said, Google it. And I said,
what? It was very like, this is the business class that we're going to. Kiki.
What did you think about the class that we all went to?
Oh, the
yeah. It was
still
really
very interesting.
No, it was great.
Still very
interesting.
Didn't learn anything.
It's just crazy how everything you see on social media is really not what it is in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed our time there, but it does put in perspective that like not everything is what you see it as.
I think the biggest perspective that I've taken from every single class is I'm not that much different than them. It's time and experience.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, I don't want to even say they're more courageous, but it's like they've been doing it, and they've done kind of the trial and error thing, and it's got them to where they were. So it's just like, okay,
yeah,
I should have a goal in 3 years to be here, 5 years be here, And it's like, we were talking about success earlier, and it was just kind of where I'm finding my happiness and success is, what kind of clients do I want to book in a day? How much money do I want? Like, what service do I want to book in a day to meet kind of this money per week, or even per day, more per week, to be satisfied with what I'm doing? And not that that's a measure of success, but it's like, okay, that's how I measure, am I working hard enough, or am I booking the right clients? Because I'm like, for me, if I book a men's haircut all day, every day, I would never hit that goal. So I have to like balance out and be like, okay, I can only take 5 haircuts of this. I need to book this many extensions. And so that was something that they talked about. How do you want to structure a day? I do colors up until 2, and I like to end my day with 2 haircuts. I don't want to end it on a big color. It's like, I like to get it started. It goes how it goes, whatever.
I like the fact that they don't market like they market the main client that they want. Mm-hmm. Obviously the lived in color, the beautiful women, all of this and all of that, but they're like, well, I still do haircuts. Yeah. Like, I mean,
and that was one thing that didn't occur to me too, because I'm like, oh my God, I do the same thing. Because I'm like, I'll post a couple men's cuts, but he was like, I do bobs and shags and men's cuts. He goes, but that's not the main client that I want to attract, so I'm not going to post that.
Right.
So like, again, it's in a good way, smoke and mirrors. It's like that your page is marketing. It's not I can do hair. It's like, this is the hair I want to do.
These are my clients that I want to attract. I've been to clients too. They're like, classes that they're like, oh, well, I'm not doing anything unless it's this. And to me, I mean, and if it works for people, then that's great. But I kind of like doing a mixture of stuff as long as it's working for me. I mean, I don't really do men's cuts, and I don't really just do haircuts. I'll do trims, but I don't want to market it that I do haircuts, because haircuts for me take a full at least hour and a half. If you're doing a true haircut. Not just like, oh, I'm just going to trim it after I color it. I mean, that's, nothing, but
and I laugh because like people will ask for a specific haircut, and like being a stylist behind the chair, you realize that person's like, yeah, we can do that. And I'm like, you just did the same haircut on everybody. And this person doesn't know that that's not what they asked for. They're just like, I love it. It's like, okay, cool. So my big question, I think I'm just going to tag myself out. Currently, what are your goals as a hairstylist? Like, what do you kind of want to kind of move toward, or like work toward, or just kind of like what's been kind of feeding your fire lately? Kaitlin, you can go first.
Mine are the clients that I have like personal relationships with. They respect boundaries is a big thing, because I know I did not put that in consideration a lot when I first started. Oh, yeah, boundaries. And then like they pre-book, they don't argue. They understand like, hey, my hair can't go from a level 1 to a level 10 today. Like it's going to have to take time. It's going to be money. It's going to be all the things, or even if possibly their hair could never do that. Yeah. But I think that's one thing that I really enjoy, those clients who like understand and they want to hear your professional opinion, and they don't want to argue about it, or, well, so-and-so can do it. I'm like, okay, well, I can't do it healthily like today. Like we can do it over time. And she's like, well, she can. I'm like, well, then you can.
Who's gladly. She anyway?
Well, just like another stylist. They're like, well, like I seen her do a transformation that's like black to blonde, like in one day, which is fine.
Again,
but
that's just what you're seeing on a
picture.
Yeah,
but they were there 14 hours.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's another thing that like
$3,000.
Again, at the time, people don't want to be there for more than 3 hours, and they don't want to spend more than $175, and it's just not attainable.
Yeah. Boss lady, you want to go next?
About what fuels my fire?
Yeah, just like what you kind of want to progress toward, or what are you working on for yourself as a stylist? I mean, you have a lot of things going on behind the scenes, so you can get into a bunch of stuff.
I really
she's like, I'm releasing a new color. Then I'm like,
2 new colors are going to be released, but we're not going to talk about that now. We need to bring the hair up here one day.
I'm aware.
I mean, I still agree with Kaitlin, even though I've been doing it for so long. I mean, raising prices, that's coming. I said I was going to do it in September, but we're going to have our meeting, at the salon, and we're going to talk about the price raisings. But in October for sure, October 1st, my prices will be going up. But I still have I'm still going to have resistance and pushback about, well, why not this or why not that? Or do you work Saturdays or why not? I still have the same things going on. It's just maybe on a different level. Fueling my fire right now is managing my time better. Not like behind the chair. I'm pretty good with like my routines during the day. It's really just managing my social media and things that I need to do for the extensions, and then things that I need to do at home, like not in the salon, and my personal business and or personal life, not personal business. Yeah, I think that.
I guess you saved the best for last.
So AJ, what is
what is mine? I mean, I asked a question. I'm like, man, a million things went through my head. I don't know. I think I love going to classes because it makes you rethink a lot of things. Because I mean, I think we all talked about boundaries, but like a boundary for me is like, I don't like working late. And so he said something, he's like, I won't work late again. I said, you know what? I really would actually prefer to get up early. And if you want this hair, you'll come and get up early too. Because I'm like, I just don't think it's appropriate to be with you 8, 9. Now, there are circumstances. I'm like, something goes wrong. But I'm like, if we're choosing to work at night, that doesn't work for me. Providing a good professional and warm experience. Like they really emphasize that too. But it's just kind of like, I think just kind of having the courage to block off enough time and spend with my clients. And if that means that, I miss out on an extra service that day or whatever, it's like, well, I gave somebody a great experience doing hair. Like that actually really made me happy, because I kind of took the longest I've ever taken on a client today, but I booked her out extra long. And I said, you need to have a great experience for coloring your hair the first time. And it felt really good to just do her color service the way that to the best of my ability, this time. And it meant the world. So I think
I thought it looked really good.
It did.
It looked so good.
And she was so happy with it. But I was like, that's because I stepped up my game and did something that made me uncomfortable, but it's going to pay off. And so that's kind of how, like, knowing that I can deliver that and eventually, like, increase my value all the way around, not just like with money. So that's kind of what I want to keep doing, and we're going to keep doing it.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we learned so much, and that was like just this past weekend we learned a lot, but then it's like opened up all these are turning, and it's like, oh yeah, we could do this and we could do this, and they were very inspiring.
And that's what we want to be to the rest of you all, clients and listeners. We want to be inspiring and make you feel good. So,
and offend a few people, probably.
Well, I mean, they probably deserve it, but tune in because there's like so much more to come. We want to thank Kaitlin for being our first guest.
Well, thank you. I enjoy the privilege.
Yes, you're so near and dear to our heart.
Yes.
and it's then fun to grow with you.
Yes, it totally is. And then next week we'll have another guest.
The guests are about to start rolling.
They are.
So if y'all are tired of just hearing us, we don't really know what to expect. We don't expect to get too crazy, but we'll just let it roll, whatever.
Yeah, that's just what we're going to do. So thank you guys for listening again. And
so Kaitlin, you got to cut it out with us. We do our little watch thing. That's Hair Mafia.
Bye, guys.